The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Welcome in to an all-new edition of the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Show on the Belly Up Sports Network. And it's another week of baseball, another week of summer, and boy, it's another week of fantasy baseball talk right here as well. I'm Vince Stover, joined as I am every single week by the senior writer at bellyupsports.com. He is also a double away from the cycle, Kevin Wilson. How you doing, Kev?
I'm doing great, Vince. It's been a great weekend, and I'm really looking forward to talking about some baseball today. Of course, I'm always looking forward to that, and so I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, well, we got enough to talk about for sure. We've got 3 segments full for you tonight. Want to remind everybody that if you miss past episodes of the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Show, you can find them on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel, or if you're an audio kind of guy or girl, you can go to Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts there as well. All right, let's jump into segment number 1. We call it the Fantasy Burner. Fantasy Burner is presented by Belly Up Sports. There are boatloads of articles right now on bellyupsports.com, whether you're into Major League Baseball, fantasy baseball, NFL, fantasy football, NHL, NBA, it doesn't matter. It's all there. bellyupsports.com. It's where you find all of Kevin Wilson's articles as well. So make sure you check that out. All right, Kevin, today we're bringing up some players, kind of hard conversation players that you just look at them and say, I can't drop this guy, can I? Yet the stats kind of tell you need to drop this guy. And what kind of spurred on this conversation early in the season, we had this conversation about Aaron Nola. It's like, man, he's doing so bad. He got hurt, so that helped. but
right. So yeah,
we're like, you can't just keep him on your roster, can you? And now Zach Gallen is that guy where it's just like, oh my soul. Like I've got him in, I think, 2 leagues, and I've tried to trade him. I have a hard time dropping a guy like Zach Gallen, and the stats are telling me I must do it. But where I'm comfortably locked into the playoffs in these leagues, I feel like, well, I'm going to wait a little longer and see if something happens, whether he gets traded or something good happens to him, I guess. But Zach Gallen is, man, it's been rough. Not only for him, kind of for all of the Arizona pitchers, but Gallen especially, right?
That's especially true because I thought he was going to be, when coming into the season, would be the co-ace,
right? And
a guy that you could get later in the draft than Burns. And so I thought there was value there. But I'm looking at this at a 5.75 ERA. That's unbelievable to me because he's given up 20 earned runs in his last 4 starts.
Yeah.
And so he's treading, players that are maybe playing, not having a great season, but maybe trending in the right direction. This guy's going completely opposite.
Yeah, it's not at all trending well at this point in time. I'm pulling up real quick the other fantasy stats for Arizona's pitchers. So Merrill Kelly far and above. The best of the Arizona pitchers right now, 98 innings, 100 strikeouts, 7-4 win-loss record, 9 quality starts. So some positives there. But you got Zach Gallen, Brandon Pfaadt, Corbin Burns, who's done, Eduardo Rodriguez, Ryan Nelson, who we brought up not too long ago. Right. You did on the waiver wire ads and things like that as well. I mean, Jordan Montgomery's been injured. So, I mean, nothing good outside of Merrill Kelly right now, and maybe Ryan Nelson in the right matchup. But there's just not something good. You look at Zach Gallen, he is currently outscored by Brandon Pfaadt, Corbin Burns, who has been out for a little while now. And let's see here. I guess it's the only guys that have scored higher than him in that lineup rotation, I guess, as right. Well. And Ryan Nelson on his heels, like 7 points away on his heels right now. In the last game against the White Sox, 5.1 innings, 5 earned runs, only 2 strikeouts, 8.44 ERA, negative 1 points. When you play the White Sox, that's when you throw in, name them. I don't care who the pitcher is. I see he's going against the White Sox. I say, yeah, I'll take my chances and I'll put that guy in. My streaming pitchers that I use in my leagues, I'm looking for White Sox. I'm looking for A's. I'm looking for Angels. Whenever they're playing Rockies, whenever they're playing against these teams, I may never heard of the guy before. I'm still picking him up because that's who he's playing. Zach Gallen should be way better than that. He had a 7-pointer against Colorado where he only went 5 innings, 7 earned runs. Followed that up with the White Sox, 5 earned runs over 5.1 innings. Like it is dog ugly right now. And the only reason I haven't cut him is 2 reasons, I guess. One is I've tried to trade him, figure, hey, let's see if we can get something for him. And then secondly, I'm okay in these leagues that I have him in. I don't really need to cut him at this point. So I'm going to hold out hope a little bit longer. But if you're fighting for a playoff spot, I think you got to cut bait here with Zach Gallen and move on from him.
I would certainly agree with that. And because I'm in that position currently.
Yeah.
And I don't have him in any of my leagues. I would have drafted him if I had the opportunity, but
Sure.
I did not. So I'll be right there with you. If this guy is untradeable, he's got to go.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, who else are we talking about tonight?
Well, the player that's really at the top of my list is a player that I have currently on my roster, and is a player that I've heard quite a bit of questions about in recent days, and questions that we answered in the month of May. And my answer was, well, it's May. Let's give him a little time. Well, here we are almost into July, and it's no better. And that's Michael Harris of the Atlanta Braves. Okay. And he gives you a little hope because on the 13th of June, he was 2 for 4 with a homer, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. And you're like, oh, yeah. 3 for 42 since then. No homers, 1 RBI, 1 run scored, and has not been in the lineup the last 2 games. So Atlanta is a team we thought would be, even after an 0-7 start, we thought, well, they'll rally. They did a little bit, but then all of a sudden what was it? They lost 7 straight or whatever it was they did. And none of their guys except for Acuna have caught fire.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this because I had a lot of I want to say I believed in him.
Sure.
But that belief has to if you're, like I said, if you're like me in a playoff race, there's no place for this guy on your roster anymore. If you're in a place that you're maybe in first, something like that, maybe you could let this play out for a couple more weeks. But right now, I think he's got to go, even though it really pains my heart to do so.
Yeah, 9 of the last 11 games he's played in, he's hitless. So you look at that and you go, okay, and the 2 games that he did hit were against Miami, and he was 1 for 4 in those games. And I don't think he had anything else to show for. 1 RBI and 1 stolen base on the 21st of June. So it has been, ugly for Harris. I was in a conversation with a guy in a dynasty league about a trade for Harris, and I offered him what I thought was a fair, straight-up trade, Dominguez for Harris, Jason Dominguez from New York for Harris, because one of my things with Dominguez is he's not playing every day, and that's really bothering me in this stretch run. And then he countered with, like, I don't know, he was overvaluing, I think, Harris in the trade offer, which is fine. He's allowed to do it, but I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to pay extra for a guy that's not playing well. So Harris is one of those guys. I believe in him too, and I think I'm still holding out hope for these Braves players. I'm going to give them 2 weeks after the All-Star break. And now if you're fighting for your life in the fantasy world, you may not have that luxury to do this. But yeah, this is tough. When you're talking about the Braves players, and Michael Harris especially has been so poor. I don't think he has positive points in the month of June. Like, he has some positive point outings, but you throw in the negative points that he has as well. It's not a pretty sight. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. All right, let's jump. Who's next?
So another one that I have is another Atlanta Brave, and that's Ozzie Albies. And same kind of scenario. He gives you a little bit to go on. June 18th, he was 2 for 4. But on June 22nd, he was 2 for 4. But before that, he was 1 for 16. Then after that, after the June 22nd, he was 2 for 22. And he had 3 hits and 11 at bats in the series against Philadelphia. It just hasn't come. And he's only hitting 221 when I last looked at this. It might be a little different now, but 221 for a second baseman, it's not cutting it. And so same scenario here, maybe a little less because there aren't as many quality guys that you could pick up at second as maybe the outfield.
Sure.
But still, Ozzie Albies needs to do a lot better than this.
Yeah, so I've got Albies in our league, in our belly up league. And I definitely I think you can be more patient with him because he is giving you some positive fantasy points. Not a lot, but some. In the series against Philadelphia, he did have a hit in at least every game, which I think is a positive. Now, you're wanting more out of him considering where you drafted him at. I actually acquired him via trade back at the beginning of May. I got him for Jackson Holiday and Xander Bogaerts. And if you could say, well, you could have those 2 players or this one player, well, I would say I'd probably go to those 2 players, even at this point. But at the end of the day, Albies is still, I think, viable, but you have to see what's in your league. If you look out there and you say, okay, we need to figure out, can I upgrade this position to make the playoffs? And if you can, now again, I always say first move is try to trade them. Number one, try to make the trade before you cut a guy like Ozzie Albies. Make the trade offer and see what happens, right? If you can message your league and let everyone know he's available, does anybody want him? You just never know what you're going to get in return. So do that first. If it doesn't work out, then you might need to move on if the right guy's available there. That's showing you consistency at second base for sure. Let's talk about not Ozzie. Let's talk about O'Neal Cruz next, which I know is on your list.
Yes.
And I think he's a really interesting one, Kevin, because he's had years in the fantasy world where people are like, do we draft this guy? Do we take a shot on him? Give or take. And then he gets outfield eligible, which helps out a lot. Then he has some good things happen last year. Today, he had 2 home runs. So you're like, oh man, that's great. But O'Neal Cruz is the guy that you look at. And I think down the road, future wise, I think what I'm seeing this season scaring me off from O'Neal Cruz for drafting, in the future, let alone this year. I don't think he needs to be dropped necessarily this right now, but I can't say I'm a huge O'Neal Cruz fantasy baseball fan.
Right. And because they're the biggest red flag of them all is that his manager pulled him out.
Yes.
Because he wasn't hustling.
Yeah.
There is zero defense for that. And he hit 2 homers today, as you mentioned, but entering, he was hitting 205.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason why he has some value is he has 26 stolen bases. And just as soon as you're getting ready to, this guy, I don't have any confidence in him. He hits 2 home runs today.
Yeah.
So I was all ready to roll and say, hey, this guy's got to go. But 2 home runs, he'll give me a couple more weeks to stay on the bandwagon with him. But if there's any more of these where he's not hustling and going 2 for 31, which is what he's done before this weekend, and it's going to have a completely different answer.
Yeah, he's had 6 negative points outings in the last 2 weeks. That's not good, obviously.
No,
and then that play you're talking about too, and sometimes you hear, especially as an old, or even as young people, you hear, well, he didn't hustle, so the coach pulled him out. No, if you go watch it, they turned a double play that O'Neal Cruz could have easily gotten on first for.
Right, and he's got speed.
and he was not even close to trying. It's like when they tossed it the second, he just put the brakes on. And what are you doing? And I'm a Brewers fan, so I was all for it at the time.
Right, I get that.
As a fantasy manager, you're sitting there going, wait, if outside of Paul Skeens, who's the most popular guy in Pittsburgh right now? It's O'Neill Cruz. And if your star player is getting benched in the middle of a game, now they let him play the Wednesday. That was on a Tuesday.
Right.
They let him play on a Wednesday, and I mean, he hustled. He dropped the ball and ran and hustled and got it. But I think I would have given him the day off after that just to get my point across a little bit more. But they let him play, and, that didn't, is what it is. In Milwaukee, he had -1 points, -2 points, and 0 points in those 3 outings. So, yikes. O'Neill Cruz is a guy that I always like just because he's super athletic. He's got all this potential. He's got multiple. He can play shortstop or outfield in fantasy. That's great. But I really think that when we come around next year, O'Neill Cruz is going on my do not draft board, even with all the potential that he has. And if I had him on my team this year at this very moment, I'd be trying to trade his booty somewhere right now and doing my best to move on from him. So, he scares me in a lot of ways because I think it's just immaturity. I think there's immaturity issues, and that affects his playing, it affects how he performs, and it could possibly affect his playing time in the coming weeks because of situations as well. Maybe
that immaturity is what really is concerning.
Yeah,
because he's not this is not his first year or his second year, and he's got to have a more level head than this.
Yeah. I agree. All right. You cool if we end this segment now?
I am absolutely cool.
All right. I think that's a good stopping point right there. So there you go. Some guys to consider moving on from if you got them on your fantasy roster right now. Let's move into segment number 2. We call it the Hot Corner. The Hot Corner, presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Join the flavor revolution at righteousfelon.com and use the promo code BELLYUP. You're going to get 15% off your purchase. Let's take a look around the league a little bit here, Kevin, because we've got some fun stuff going on.
Right.
First of all, the Brewers, who have been hot as all get out, take a nasty loss today against Colorado as McGill blew the save and ultimately the loss. The Cubs also lost today, which is good for the Brewers. They're only 2 back. Cardinals on a 3-game win streak. They've been really good this week as well. They're 2.5 back from Chicago in first place. And then the old Cincinnati Reds sitting there at 5 games back, 4 games above 500. And we would be amiss if we didn't mention Spencer Steer having himself a day the week that I've cut him and you've picked him up. So congratulations to you and Spencer Steer. As I hate him even more now with this 3 home run outing this week. But he'll probably go 0 for 20 for his next
Probably so.
The NL Central's been fun. I think the Cardinals are still this trade deadline is going to get really interesting because this division right here, this is going to be the most intriguing division come trade deadline, I believe. You got the Cubs who are trying to get anybody and everybody. You look at any article about possible trades and who wants them. Chicago's name is on every single player. Like they want anybody and everybody. They need pitching help. They need bullpen help. They need some offense. They need some defense. It doesn't matter. Chicago's out shopping right now. I said before we came on air, I think Milwaukee is going to attempt to make a big move. What does that mean exactly? It's hard to define, but typically they get a bullpen arm around the deadline. Maybe a DH, older veteran guy, something like that. I think they're going to take a swing this year, whether it's pitching or possibly at third base. I think are the 2 things you really look for here with Milwaukee. And I think even Bo Bichette's name needs to be considered here as well. Joey Ortiz is playing good ball right now, but he can go over to third base again. That's where he was last year. So if you bring in Bo Bichette to play short, and you have Ortiz jump to third or him and Durbin split in time or whatever you do. At the end of the day, though, I think Milwaukee makes a move. I don't know who or what that looks like. And then you got the Cardinals. They've made moves before. Like there's a lot of potential here
There
you
is.
can see the Cardinals make a big move as well. They're right here in this race. I think between those three teams, and there's going to be different strategies between those three teams, but I think this division becomes one of the most fun to watch come trade deadline time.
I think so too, because we thought the NL West was going to be the division to watch.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the wild card standings, and Milwaukee and the St. Louis Cardinals would both be in. And all the NL West teams, other than the Dodgers, of course, would be out.
Yeah, it's wild.
It is wild. So, and we both, I believe, thought that the Cardinals were going to be a mess
Yes.
this year, and they have not been. And if you saw what Sonny Gray did the other day, so they're pitching, they're hitting, and it's going to be a fun. And Cincinnati's not really that, because Cincinnati's 2.5 out of a wild card, so
Right.
you can't discount them, even though we kind of do every year. But
well, and let's talk about them for a second. Like, their pitching has been really, really good. Their starting pitching, especially. So let's say the Reds go out and make a big move. There's plenty of relievers, top end relievers available. So let's say they go out and get a closer or get a setup guy. That's going to strengthen their bullpen. It's still not the best, of all the things they have. They've got, their offense has been decent, but they can improve some areas too. It would not surprise me at all if the Reds go out and make some moves here as well. So yeah, you put 4 teams in a division that are likely to take a swing at somebody and see what happens with it. Right now,
yeah,
you'd have a bad week and that could all change, aka San Francisco. But outside of that, I love this division. I mean, I know I'm a Brewers fan, but I think it's going to be a real fun division here coming up on the All-Star break, trade deadline, all that good stuff as well. Let's talk about the West. I mean, it was such a tight race, and now it's not.
No, it's not.
Now the Dodgers have a touchdown lead on the Padres and the Giants, and the Giants get swept by the Marlins.
At home, no less.
Who else did they just lose to?
I would have.
They lost to the White Sox today. 5-2. I think they lost to the White Sox yesterday too, didn't they?
I believe so. Hang on a second.
That's what
Live research is happening right here. Check this out.
So yeah, San Francisco, after getting swept, they lost 2 straight games to Chicago. Got shut out yesterday, 1-0. And look at Robbie Ray there.
Right,
guys. Right. So yeah,
right.
Intriguing to say the least.
White Sox 5, Giants 2.
That's today. Yep.
And as you mentioned, it was 1-0. Come on. Your pitcher gives up 1 run, you can't win. I don't know.
Right.
And in Chicago, no less. And they happened to win, but they only scored 3 runs on Friday.
3-1 on Friday. Yeah.
So that's not bringing on the power right there.
It's not. And that follows getting swept by the Marlins. So you get swept by the Marlins, then you lose 2 or 3 to the White Sox.
Right. There can't be a better, road to hoe than you play the Marlins and then the White Sox back to back, and you only win 1 game.
Right.
Out of that. That can certainly stall a playoff push.
Yes.
And it really has, because before that, the Giants all season have been playing well.
Incredible.
They've been playing, whether they're at home, on the road, whatever it's been. But as I mentioned more than once, all teams go through these little periods. You would hope it wouldn't be against teams like the Marlins and the White Sox.
Right.
That definitely is a double, punch to the gut right there. But that works for me because, as you well know, I'm a Dodger guy, and they just went out on the road and they won 5 out of 6.
Yeah.
Including 2 out of 3 in Kansas City. So, and you got Ohtani throwing 101.7 miles per hour now.
Everybody's trying to catch the Miz. We talked about that last week, but
yep. And that was, I watched that because I was at work and they had the MLB network on, and I watched that and I saw this man pitch like he was, been in the league 3 years or 4 years.
And Jacob Mizorowski he's got a great personality. He gets excited, but not like obnoxiously excited. I don't think, at least.
Right.
And Skeens, outside of that second
Uh,
inning, pitched really well. So
Right.
fun
So
game.
1 inning's all it takes is to bite you in the rear.
That's right.
And that's what happened. He gave up all 4 runs in the second,
Yeah.
which was unfortunate because he's my fantasy pitcher, of course. But it was fun to watch 2 young guys like this.
Yeah.
And it gives you a lot of hope that baseball is going to maintain or maybe expand their horizons a little bit when you've got 2 young guys like this doing what they're doing.
Real quick, back to the Giants. In the NL, there's no team that has allowed fewer runs than San Francisco. And so to go out and get swept by Miami and 2 games dropped to White Sox, mind-blowing. They need offense to show up. Padres, like I said, they're 7 back. Dodgers in control now, scoring like crazy, by the way. 477 runs scored. I believe that's top in the league. There might be one person higher, but I think that's top in the league.
Right.
Yeah, it is top in the league for runs scored. So
which they've needed to do because their pitching staff has not. Well, they've been hurt. But
they got 20 of them, and they still
they got 77 pitchers over there, including Clayton Kershaw, who's looked very much like Clayton Kershaw of late.
Sure.
And we need to mention that he's 3 strikeouts away from 3,000 in his career.
Yeah.
And he's looked very well. And Yamamoto finally, after some lackluster,
sure,
the word? Okay,
I like it,
has gotten back into the groove. So
yeah,
they're going to be playing. This is the point where teams should have been able to do something with them, but it hasn't happened.
And this is what brings up again. You go back to the trade stuff, like San Diego, San Francisco. Like if they want any shot, I know San Francisco already made a big trade, but you're going to have to figure something out. You got over there in the East, the Mets and the Phillies are duking it out. They're going to want to add to their teams as well. In the American League, you've got Yankees are still only a game and a half up on Tampa, even though they're scoring like crazy, but so is Tampa. Tampa's scoring really, really well, which is nuts. Then you've got the Blue Jays still hanging in there. In the Central, it's all Tigers. We'll move on.
We don't need to talk any further about that.
And then in the West, the Astros are playing like the Astros. They're now 16 games over 500, 7 of their last 10. And their pitching has been phenomenal too, which really you look at the West, Astros have allowed 304. The Rangers have only allowed 292 runs. Like that's nuts how good their pitching has been, but they can't score.
Right.
Oh my goodness. It's ridiculous. But Astros are 6.5 up on the Mariners, 8.5 up on the Angels, 9 games up on the Rangers. I cannot believe how bad the Rangers have been this season. I don't know. There's just one of those mind-blowing things. There's a couple teams like that. The Baltimore obviously leads the league in most shocking, horrendous season, but the Rangers have been really bad for all the talent they have.
Really bad because they've got Seager, they've got Simeon, and they've got we could have talked about Mr. Garcia out there in the outfield, who has been absolutely dreadful.
Yeah.
Ever since he was king in the World Series, he's disappeared.
Yeah.
And so that's not working. Josh Jung, as soon as you say, okay, Josh Jung, you're getting your act together, then nothing. Mr. Carter, I talked a couple weeks ago, and then disappeared.
And Langford,
Wyatt Langford, and he's been hurt.
Yeah.
And that didn't, because you dropped him, I picked him up. I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. But that went way, way, way down the drain.
It went south fast. Yeah.
It went south in a hurry. And if they were even an average offense, which you should be able to expect that from the talent they have, they'd be right there with the Astros. But it just hasn't happened.
Very true. All right, what else we need to talk about?
Okay, so we need to talk about Mr. Dave Parker, who passed away this past weekend. And, of course, he was the Pittsburgh Pirates. Phenomenal. He was a great player. And do yourself a favor. If you've never watched his throws in the 1979 All-Star game in Seattle, get on YouTube and look at it. especially that throw he made to home.
Hmm.
And you'll be able to see right there what kind of player he was. And he was a great hitter. He was a great fielder. He was had a great arm, and was now he's not going to be able to enjoy his induction into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
It's gonna be post. What do you call that word?
Posthumous.
Yeah. Okay. And he was a player I got the pleasure of being able to watch.
Hmm.
And I was never a Pirates fan or any of that, but you acknowledge greatness, and he was a great player.
Very nice. Very nice. By the way, there's been movement in Nashville for a baseball team again. Land has been purchased for a stadium to be built. So that's coming from my good friend George Plaster, who's not really my good friend. He's been on my show once, and he's the reason I really liked sports talk. He was the sports talk host growing up that I listened to with my dad. And so he posted, I think it was last week, actually, they had a whole interview with the guy about it. So if you're intrigued about maybe Major League Baseball coming to Nashville, go check out George Plaster on Twitter. You can get some information on that also. Figured I would mention that as I was thinking about it as well. All right, that's the Hot Corner presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Join the flavor revolution at righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code BELLYUP to get 15% off your purchase. Let's head into our final segment where we give you all the waiver wire advice on the Fantasy Focus. Fantasy Focus is presented by SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com and use the promo code BellyUpSports. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase, whatever you need tickets for, minor league, major league, Savannah Bananas, whatever it is, SeatGeek.com. All right, we are doing ads and drops. Kevin, I do not have any drops this week. I know there are people we need to drop. We kind of talked about it at the beginning of the show, but do you have anybody else you want to mention as far as drops?
Just two guys. I'll get real quick into this. One is Zach Gallen of the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
Who's given up 17 runs in his last 3, and he is having an injury issue that he's trending towards the IL. And if you're like everybody else, you've got no place to put him if you have him on your roster. So I would kick him. Don't wait for him to go on the IL. He's been terrible. And another one that's been terrible is Bailey Ober of the Minnesota Twins. Last 4 games, 25 runs allowed in 22 and a third innings. 5 straight losses. He's got, 7, 8, -7, 4, 8, -2 is what he's generated. And I know he's got an ownership rating up there about, it's in the 80%, but still, if you're in a playoff crunch, you've got no place for this dude.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Fair enough.
That's the only 2 I have.
Okay, I like it. Let's go to ads then.
Okay.
Let's get a little bit more positive to end the show.
Okay, positivity.
Right.
We're generating positivity right here.
That's right. All right, who are you starting off with for an ad this week?
Okay, so I just talked negatively about a Baltimore Oriole, but now I'm going to talk positively, which is kind of hard to believe, but it's Trevor Rogers that I'm talking about right here of the Baltimore Orioles. And he just happened to put together in his last start, which was against the Rangers, who we just talked about, 8 innings, no runs, 3 hits, 31 fantasy points. Well, who do you think that he faces tomorrow? That would be the Texas Rangers once again. And I know that going up against the same team twice in a row is sometimes, is like voodoo. But this is the Texas Rangers that we're talking about right here. So I've dismissed the voodoo stigma, and I'm all in on him to start your week to get off to a great start. And let's see, he's at 8% rostered. And it doesn't get any better than going up against the team that you just dominated. Not just pitched well, dominated. So he's my first.
All right. I like that one. I'm going to go with a pitcher from Boston, and that is Lucas Giolito.
Okay.
who I do not understand why he's only 16.4% rostered in ESPN leagues. It blows my mind because in his last 4 starts, he has 4 quality starts. 4 quality starts in his last 4. That's pretty impressive. His
Right.
record on the year, by the way, 4-1. He's got a 3.99 ERA, but in his last 4 against Tampa, he went 6 innings, 0 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, and 3 walks. I got the win, 22 fantasy points. At Seattle, he went 6 innings, 0 earned runs, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, and he got the win in that one as well. At San Francisco, he went another 6 innings, 2 earned runs, and that one 5 Ks, 2 walks. And then against Toronto this week, 7 innings, 0 earned runs, 5 Ks, 1 walk, another win, and 25 fantasy points. This week, Friday, July the 4th, he is at Washington Nationals. I know Independence Day in DC sounds like a bad idea, but Lucas Giolito this week, and I don't think he's a streamer. I think it's legit. He's proven himself. Let's keep him on the roster. And if he's got a bad matchup, maybe we put him on the bench for that day. But he's doing enough to make you say, hey, let's ride this guy out a little ways. So I really like Lucas Giolito this week.
I would never have been able to expect that Lucas Giolito would be talked positively about, but you're right with him. And another player, which we talked about him a moment ago, and that's Ren Nelson of Arizona.
Yeah.
And he's at 8.9% rostered. That I don't get this. Okay. 4-2. He has a 1.05 whip, which means he is keeping the ball away from the offense, which is a great thing. We mentioned about a certain team that went up against the White Sox. Well, he did as well. Gave up just 1 run on 1 hit, 7 strikeouts, and 3 base on balls. So he was able to do what he had to do against the White Sox. And then against Toronto, which is a little more difficult at Toronto, 5 2/3 innings, 1 run on 1 hit once again. So only 4 strikeouts, 2 base on balls, 21 fantasy points. And he goes up this week against the San Francisco Giants, who we just mentioned. They're slumping. Their bats are great to begin with. And this is a great start tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Tomorrow against San Francisco at home. And this is a great, great opportunity. If you can pick up both of these guys that I've mentioned and start them tomorrow, you should be well on your way to having a great week.
I like it. All right. Let's go to the burning hot Miami Marlins for this next pickup. Shortstop, second base eligible, Otto Lopez, 14.6% rostered in ESPN leagues. He has had 3 straight series now of just straight fire, as they say in the kids these days. Against Atlanta in 3 games, he had a 3-pointer. He did have a 0-pointer and then a 5-pointer there. Then he went to San Francisco. We talked about that sweep earlier. 2 for 5, 3 for 4, and 1 for 3 in that series, 3, 9, and 6 points respectively. And now at Arizona, they just wrapped up here. He had 2 home runs this week against Arizona, a 10-pointer when he went 3 for 5 with the home run, 2 runs, and 3 RBIs. Then on yesterday, he went 1 for 5 with another home run, 3 RBIs, 2 runs to score 8 fantasy points. And today he goes 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs, a run, and a stolen base for 6 fantasy points. He's on a heater right now. You might as well jump on board because we talked about Ozzie Albies. There's some second basemen that are struggling. Lopez, listen, I've got him in a league. And I've been trying to upgrade the second base position, but I haven't been able to do it. And Lopez, every time I look at him, I'm like, well, yeah, I guess he's not the worst. I could be doing a lot worse than Otto Lopez. So he's available in a lot of leagues right now, and he's on fire, batting 260 on the year, 9 stolen bases. So if you're looking for second base or shortstop help, Otto Lopez is a good pickup right now.
Okay, so when you mentioned Miami, I was like, uh-oh, because I've got a Miami player.
There's some options down there.
Go ahead. It's just hard to believe, but my option's going to be and we've talked about him before, and that's Edward Cabrera.
Yeah.
The pitcher for the Marlins, he's at 6.3% rostered. And 2-2, 3.78, 1.37 whip. He's pitched very well. And let's see, Tuesday he goes up against the Minnesota Twins, who have, just like every other team that's not named Detroit in that Central Division, has pretty much cratered.
Yeah.
And he's pitching against them in Miami, which is, we've noted many, many times, as a pitcher's park. And this is a great opportunity. All three of these guys pitch earlier on that I've mentioned so far, earlier in the week. So if you get these guys and they do what they should do, then you're going to set your team up with the pitchers that you should already have on your fantasy team, get you going on a great week to start the July 4th weekend.
And I would say this too, there's probably a high possibility he gets traded, and he might wind up on a really good team in a really good situation. And so picking him up now might be your best bet, because if he gets traded to, I don't know, Atlanta, even Philadelphia, Chicago, I mean, there's San Diego, all kinds of places you could get traded to. It might find yourself in quite the value if you pick him up now. So
Right.
Something to think about as well. I like that pick a lot. I'm going to stick with pitcher, Milwaukee Brewers pitcher Quinn Priester. I believe you brought him up before, but 23.8% rostered in the ESPN leagues. He's 6-2 on the year, 61 strikeouts, 3.35 ERA. His last game was yesterday against Colorado, where he went 7 innings with 11 strikeouts and 2 walks. That's what you want to see from him for sure. Young guy, came over in a trade. He came over in the which trade did he come over in? Oh, I just forgot. Boston. I think he came over in the Boston trade. Oh no, I forgot completely. Anyways, doesn't matter. He's really good. He's pitching really well right now. Maybe he came over in the Yankees trade with Devin Williams. No, that was Cortez. Anyways,
Right.
Doesn't matter. He's playing really good baseball. So soak it up while you can. At the end of the day, he's had 5 of his last 7 have been quality starts. He's had at least 20 fantasy points and 3 of his last 4. He's had double-digit fantasy points in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of his last 8. So, I mean, a lot of value going there. He's available in a lot of leagues. He pitches on July the 4th at Miami, and I like that matchup as well as that park for Quinn Priester. So soak that up for sure. Sign me up for Quinn Priester right now.
Hey, like that one a lot. And I'm going right back to the well with a player that I mentioned last week, and that's Brooks Lee. We talked about Minnesota just a moment ago, how they're cratering, but this guy is not. And last Friday he had a 20-game hitting streak, which was stops on Saturday. But since then, 4 for 5, 2 for 4, 1 for 4, 1 for 4, 2 for 4, 1 for 4. So he's getting on base, and apparently left there because Minnesota hitters aren't looking that great. And he was one of the few that today, he didn't get a hit against Scoble today either, but nobody is.
Yeah, no surprise.
No surprise there. But other than Scoble, no one's been able to shut this guy down. And he's available, which really, really boggles my mind. But I've got him. So follow the example and get him on your team, because look at this. He plays second, short, and third base.
Yeah.
So your infield is set if you've got Brooks Lee on your team.
I agree. I like it. By the way, Quinn Priester came over from Boston in a trade.
Okay.
Earlier. I thought it was Boston, but then I was trying to remember who they sent away in that trade. But nonetheless, Quinn Priester, 24. The rest of the Brewers got 29-year-old Freddie Peralta, 26-year-old in Chad Patrick, 24-year-old in Quinn Priester, 23-year-old in Jacob Mizorowski. Like, watch out. Good things happening down there as well. Okay, my last guy is Josh Lowe, Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Outfielder. what he's doing right now. Again, you get these veterans. I like veterans because you have some history of what they've done in the past. He's only 11.5% rostered right now in ESPN leagues. He's come off a pretty good stretch against Kansas City. He went 2 for 4 and 3 for 4 against Baltimore this week, 2 for 4, 2 for 3, and 1 for 4. Some positive point values there as well. You're looking at outfield, you're going to have a lot of options when it comes to outfield. You got to find the right matchups and all that kind of good stuff too. But I like the veterans. I just feel like, at least I know a little bit of what they're capable of. And if they can find the right thing, and Tampa's playing really good baseball right now. So I kind of like that as well. At 11.5% rostered, why not have some fun with it down there in Tampa? That's my thought.
Okay, so my last guy is someone that I've mentioned also. It's Ernie Clement of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Who's at 21% rostered, so he may not be as available as Brooks Lee is, but still 21%. And this guy plays every single infield position: first, second, short, third. And over the 8-game period, he had 2 hits in 5 of those games. So this dude is on fire. He's hitting 300 for the season. And if you need any help at any infield position, this guy is someone that can fill and be able to put him anywhere in your lineup. And so both of these guys, if you need infield help, get either or both of them on your fantasy team. You'll be set.
I like it, man. I got him on at least one roster, if not 2. He can play anywhere, which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Let me mention one more guy I almost forgot about, is Jerkson Profar. He is
okay. I was
going to
mention him.
July the 2nd.
That's right.
He's already in the minors rehab and, getting ready, getting everything going.
He's
He
been
looks
playing
good.
11 games, I believe I heard down there.
Yeah. So he's only rostered in 24% of leagues right now. He had the 80-game PED suspension, but he's coming back and he's not, a scrub. So see what happens there. If you can pick him up, I've got him in our Belly Up League. I went ahead and picked him up this week, and I could probably have had better pickups to help me this week, but I decided I'd sacrifice this week, go ahead and take my chances with Profar long-term. So that's what I did, and I would encourage other people to do as well. Jerkson Profar coming back this week, July the 2nd. So there you go. Jump on it while you can.
Okay. I didn't have as much belief in him because I did believe in him before, and then he, put pie in my face. So I wasn't as quick as you were to pick him up.
Yeah. Well, I was fortunate to be able to. That helps a lot too when you have the space to do it and whatnot. So, all right, very good, Kevin. What we got going on this week, man? What's dropping on the old interwebs?
Well, I was not on the no credentials required show because it went Friday night, and I was at the Indiana Fever and Dallas Wings game.
Oh wow!
And of which she did not play.
Yeah,
so that was a little disappointing. But so I wasn't on that. So, but every other Saturday morning, I'm on there talking baseball, and had an article this past week. Players and injury updates, which might be needing a little more update since it's been a few days since I put it out there.
Sure.
But this week I'll be putting out my top PPR quarterback ranking. So that's something to look forward to. And Tuesday, you and I and Brian will be doing our fantasy live football show.
Yeah.
Which we are definitely bringing on the heat over there. So you definitely want to check that out. And also on the Belly Up YouTube page I just dropped the MVPs of Week 13, and it was told to me that these were obvious choices. Well, I have no control over that because
that's how it works sometimes.
That's how it works, and sometimes it's not so easy. Like the week before that, there were 5 pitchers that could easily have won it. But go on there and check out my selections. You can see them all from the start of the season. And you can say, oh, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about or not. But check all that out on the Belly Up YouTube page. And check me out on Twitter, Kevin62WILSCA. So there we have it.
Awesome. So yeah, I've got a show coming up Tuesday. Well, I'll be on the Belly Up Fantasy Live football show as well. Looking forward to that. Make sure you tune in wherever you're listening to this. You can watch that one as well. Unless you're listening to the audio only, then you got to find the Belly Up Fantasy Live football show podcast. If you're listening to that, but anywhere you're watching us, you can watch us as well with the fantasy football show. A lot of fun. We're getting into redraft stuff now and talking rankings, stuff like that too. So tune in for that one. Then Thursday, me and Dad are talking NFL. We started our preview of the NFL divisions last week with the NFC East, which, by the way, many people have watched, and we greatly appreciate that as well. This week, we're looking at the AFC West, going west, young man, and checking out that division. So tune in Thursday. That's the Sports Stove Football Show, available online at Facebook, the Sports Stove Podcast, on Belly Up's YouTube channel, or podcast, the Sports Stove Football Show as well. And me and Dad just have a blast talking football. So hope that you'll tune in for that. Next week, we'll be back and we're talking fantasy all-stars next week. So make sure you tune in for that right here on the Belly Up Fantasy Live baseball show. You can follow me on social media at Sports Stove, and I hope you will do that. You can follow Belly Up Fantasy Sports at Belly Up Fantasy Sports. Great place to follow the Belly Up Fantasy side of things too. And as always, check out the website bellyupsports.com for more information. Thank you to SeatGeek. Thank you to Righteous Felon Jerky. And of course, thank you to Kevin for being back as always. We call him Old Faithful. Sometimes we just call him old, but today, Old Faithful Kevin Wilson, we sure appreciate you as always, my friend. All right.
Thanks. Great to be here. Always.
Thanks for tuning into this edition of the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Show. If you enjoyed the show, give us a like, subscribe.
That's right.
5-star review.
That's
Tell
right.
a friend. Something. Do something if you liked
Yeah.
it. And if you didn't like it, well, don't come back. All right, gentlemen and ladies, thanks for tuning in. Have a great week and a happy 4th of July.
That's right.
As well.
Be safe.
Be safe.